Everybody. So we got a light crowd today. Dawn, Pauline, good to see ya. Kimberly, my favorite subscriber, as always. Yeah, do that right there. Andrew, Laura, Tara, Armand, Ivan, Marianne, Craig. Good to see everybody. Will, we have 30 minutes of awesome. And I'm already tired. I've been live. Let's see. We're live this morning, then we're live this afternoon for Termite Training Lab, then live again for another event. It's been a lot of live. Takes a lot out of me. Not gonna lie about it. It's being live, going live does take the energy out of me. So anyway, good to have everybody. Sergio, Gary. And we've got FOMC minutes coming out tomorrow. I'm mixed feelings on this. I think the market might move. We've been so dead, just kind of hovering. I think the market's looking for any excuse to make a move. The FOMC minutes might be that excuse. You can let me know in the chat what you think. It just seems like we're just waiting on any excuse to make a move, right? I mean, think about it. Like we've just been drifting around, just loosey goosey, not really committing to anything. And I'm kind of feeling that it might be the excuse. Like it just might be, right? Like that just kind of makes sense. It's like, hey, we need something to happen. Now, here's another one. Seasonality. Right there in the middle of the month. We just passed it. Just past the middle of the month. We are now on the 18th. We typically drop into that kind of first, second week of March. And freaking pop-ups. Come on. Before we take off for the year. Something like that. So from here, we may drift lower. This is just seasonality, yearly seasonality. This is averaged over 20 years. That might be what plays out. Might be. We'll have to, I mean, there's no substitution for seeing what actually happens. So, and it's not the only seasonality. Like we have oil typically rallies while we see Nasdaq pulling back. That's kind of interesting, right? That's 20-year average right there. We usually see oil rally into the beginning of March, then pull back. Bank's basically flat for the year. Historically, over the last 17 years, oil ends up down slightly on the average. Kind of interesting, right? Kind of interesting. And let's pull up another seasonality, shall we? Here's another one. Pop that one. Gotta zoom it up. Buttercup. We usually see a spike in volatility. Kind of, you could argue that right now we've reached a low volatility point, right? Kind of volatility. We saw kind of a spike coming into early February, getting a pullback. Might see a spike in volatility. That could be interesting. Pull up the S&P seasonality. Make that one bigger. We typically, and we're kind of sitting high. Like we've gone up a little bit this year. It kind of looks like what we've done so far this year, right? Let's chop around. Right? It's not the FOMC, it's FOMC minutes. So the minutes do come out at 2 p.m. It's not the normal FOMC meeting where they're announcing any rate change. It's just the minutes. So it'll clarify what were they thinking when they did the rate change, rate hold a couple weeks back at the end of January. So this is just kind of chopping around. Really, first 2.5 months of the year, it's just kind of boring. Kind of boring. That's kind of what we've got cooking so far this year. And can we get a move? Is something going to happen? I don't know. We might see oil spike. I mean, that was in there, right? We look back, VIX could spike. We could see oil spike. Oop, click on the right one. Could see oil bamming and jamming a little bit. Possibly a 4%. What would that look like? Oops, sorry about that. Let's go take a look. What would oil look like on a... That was USO. If USO went up 4%, we're not talking about a big move here. Something about like that. Not huge. What does that look like on oil? There's something back. Maybe we get above the roadmap line, retrace, and go higher. That might happen, right? Might happen. Maybe. Anyway, there's seasonality for you. So all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instruments such as stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries, bonds. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. You may lose money. And if you need somebody to tell you what to do, hire and consult that financial advisor, which is not me. I am not a financial advisor. I don't play one on YouTube. I don't pretend to be one. Just a guy that follows the market. Provide a little bit of entertainment, maybe. Hopefully, you're entertained. Now, we usually hit some of the futures. Just kind of run through some stuff. Today, tried to pull back and then rallied back. We came down a little bit lower than yesterday and then shot right back up. Kind of an interesting go here. Kind of got that 3-wave dip and then shot right back up into the close and just kind of sat here. Uneventful, not really. Looks more like a 30-minute bounce to me. So we had that dip, pop back up. We're setting the stage to go on higher. Wouldn't surprise me if we're already up there tomorrow morning. Wouldn't surprise me. And if we get up into those target zones, 6,200 to 6,250 by the FOMC minutes, could just be the excuse to pull back again. We'll see what happens. Nasdaq, same sort of situation. 30-minute bounce. Next upside targets here. Limited 22.3. 50, 22, 377, somewhere in there. Still going to take a bit more effort to get on up to the big breakout target up here. We're not quite to the all-time high breakout setup yet. Then Russell, really non-committal today. Just really chopped around a little bit. Wasn't really feeling the Wheaties. So we may see this if Nasdaq and S&P 500 break on out. We may see this rally into this resistance zone that we've had cooking since mid-December. Then we might drop out. If we get through it, we can go for upside target, but I just don't see that playing out right now. I sound like a broken record because the market's not done anything for months. It's boring sometimes. Unfortunately, we're just chopping around. So oil, like I talked about, we could have a 4% upside if seasonality kicks in. If seasonality doesn't kick in, we might just mess around and go sideways. European oil sitting, we made an attempt to break through the roadmap line and rejected, did not make a lower low. So we held a higher low, barely. That's somewhat bullish. Resistance right up here. That zone around 80. If we can break through. Gasoline. Now that's a jump right there. Look at that gap on that futures contract rollover. rolled over the contract. Nice big bump. That fits with the seasonality. We usually jump on up into that June, July contract. Yeah, April, June, July, yeah. So getting a jump into that April contract. And we may see some bleed off here. So typically every summer we get a little spike. You see that April, April, April. Like it's like excitement, anticipation. So that's a gap up. It's a jump. It puts us above the roadmap line. If we were to drift back down, it could lead to a more bullish move right there. That's wholesale prices, not what you see at the pump. Diesel fuel didn't jump though. Didn't get that same size jump. So it's a little more interesting, I think. See, we don't have that seasonal big pop in there. Did we reject off of the 618 area? Are we going to push down to lower low? If we do, that's a 1, 2, 3. And then that could lead to a bigger upside move, possibly to this target that we've had sitting here for a few months. Be interesting to see what happens here. NG. That popped today. That was interesting. That was a big rally. Counter to what I would have thought. I've been expecting this to drop on down. If this gets continuation tomorrow, we could see this rally down up in this area. Around 460, possibly $5. If we don't break back down. If we get below the roadmap line, I expect something on down around $2 on the downside. So this is one to watch for the next couple of days. Right now, defying the normal seasonality. We typically spike late in the year and drop into this time frame. Like right now is usually when we get a big drop in prices for natural gas. You're coming into that April contract. So usually this is the low point, and then we start, we dip down in that March, April timeframe. You go look at the seasonality here. March, April, big dip. Look over, another year back. March, April, big dip. So that's usually what happens. March, April, we usually get a big dip, but defying, was this the big dip? We just did it early, or is it the first leg down, the retrace, the next leg about to happen? I don't know. Hard to tell. Hard to tell. Never know exactly what's going to happen. You just have a guess based on the price patterns. So that move down, retrace, holding, pushing the limits of how far I would want to see that before we get the next move down, somewhere in that zone. 240 to 275, but that could lead to a bigger downside. Could see a bigger downside, somewhere down around $2, 215 right there. Gold. Wow, that's some volatility right there. Look at those candles on gold. Small candles, small candles, small candles, relatively, and then big doji, croquet hammer thing, small one, big down, big up, almost a Twin Towers situation. If that had gone right back to, if this had closed like at the same level right there, I would be very cautious, because that Twin Towers thing, look, see it a lot. You get like a Twin Tower situation. These are opposite color you would normally expect, but usually when you get two big outsized candles sitting next to each other at the top. And there's another one right there. We get a drop off. It's not usually you get the red one first, so usually you get a big green and a big red. And it's just big relative to other candles. See, there's a big green and big red. Big, relative big green, big red. There was a big green. Wait, what a big red. It's usually a finishing move. And like I said, we don't usually see the red first and then a big green. It's kind of makes a question mark in my mind, like what's about to happen here? Was that a pullback and then we're about to pop? Or, I mean, historic gold chart doesn't offer a lot of similar instances. So we're kind of in a unique time here with those two candles on the gold chart. Talk about these two right here. It's unique, it's different. We could pop it to 3,000. That's a major resistance. Could retrace it back to the roadmap line. That's a long way down. And you imagine what kind of $300 flush on gold? That'd be pretty rough. Now, the developing story, they want to audit, you know, Doge kind of setting their sights to audit the Fort Knox gold supply. Is the gold there? Is it IOUs? Did they borrow the gold to pay something else? I don't know. We'll see. It's interesting. Doji, and then big expansion. You know, and what's interesting to me, like you have this big green, big red, another big green. Some increased volatility in gold. Usually we see that at tops though. That was cool. I don't know what just happened. Usually we get the bigger moves after we make a top. So I'm cautious right here. I did lighten up my load on gold. Silver has been unable to break out so far. We did hit, if you look at the pullback here in the expansion, we did hit that target. Did retrace. Did kind of hold this area for going on out. Be looking for that. This thing has a large opportunity to outperform and catch up. Could see an outsized move up here if it can actually get going. This might be a smart way to play if you want to play in a leveraged way without buying options. You're not sure on the time. We could see this go from like 45 to like 105. It'd be a pretty good little move with some shares, something like that. Not too shabby. If you just want to play the old way, SLV. Have to look at the weekly chart here. Could be looking at a move right up in this area, around 55 to 60. If this catches up with gold. And we're talking about GLD. See how it's already, that was the pullback and that was the expansion. Well, SLV, it's lagging. It's distorted the gold-silver ratio. When you look at the GC divided by SI, well, GC1 exclamation point divided by SI1. Get rid of the dollars out of the equation. We're at kind of a high point. And we did get a little extra high back here in COVID, but we're kind of near the upper end of this thing. We usually take a big swing down. That's usually when the price of silver catches up to gold. So we're at the upper end of kind of the range on this baby. Now it doesn't have to play out. It doesn't have to do anything. This can make a new high. But we're sitting up here near the upper end of the range. We don't typically go much higher on the gold-silver ratio before we take a big swing down. That's where the price of silver increases relative to the price of gold. So gold could pull back, silver could go up, gold could go down, and silver stay the same. Silver could go up, gold stay the same. You know, any of those scenarios would play out and kind of fix this right here. So this typically You know, look at the range. You know, we typically hang out in a range on this baby. So somewhere back down around 45 is kind of the historical low. Even if gold just sat the same, and silver went to catch up, say 2,900, 2,950. Let's just roll with 2,950 divided by 45. That'd be $65 an ounce on silver. Interesting, right? And that corresponds with the chart. So you tell me, is this a crazy expectation? Doesn't seem like it is. Put it back in the realm right there. Now, silver's in an industrial shortage. They use it as an industrial metal to build solar panels and stuff, and we're actually using more than we've been producing for the last 10 years or so. And the stockpiles that had been amassed are basically empty. So any kind of industrial pop in silver demand could spike this thing right there. Be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what plays out. So HG copper, that rallied right back up. That's kind of interesting to me. We pop back up into this high zone right here. So here's the caution. That move, that move, that move, very equal. That could be the first move down. This could be the second move. And we can see continuation right down here. That's a three-wave move up. We've just be careful here. I'm not sure this is going to get bullish and run all of a sudden. It does have a little bit of pullback going. If this develops into a bigger down, this whole big flush out right here. First move down, three-wave up into that high. Three-wave down, three-wave up, three-wave down, three-wave up. Complex corrective thing. Could do that. Just cautious on that. Cocoa. Cocoa has been absolutely crazy. Looks like it's gunning for the roadmap line here. Might be good for cocoa prices. Hershey's having a hard time. U.S. cocoa supplies are at critical levels. If that actually plays out into the market, we could see this shoot up again. That high potential to the roadmap line. We could see it at $13,000 a ton for cocoa. Absolute wild. Another market that's been wild. Look at that. Orange juice fell out of bed. Good for breakfast prices, I guess. Looking at the higher picture. We have this like long-term running set of highs, and then we broke out, went higher, hit the 1618. Now we're probably going to come back down, probably going to retest this breakout area right around 2. And it's $2 per whatever. I don't know what they price it in. Concentrate. That's frozen concentrate of orange juice. So I don't know if it's priced in hundreds of pounds, or I have to go look up the contracts. That's a crazy chart that was making that I was Seeing some headlines on. We are back to the roadmap line on the weekly. So that could hold as support. We could potentially go higher again. So if that breaks on down below that, probably see this retrace to the breakout. If we bounce here, we might go on up, back up into the $6 per 100 pounds or whatever it is, frozen orange juice. I don't know if it's 100 pounds or 100 gallons. Right there. How you trade this stuff? You'd have to go check it out. Like, how do you trade orange juice? Right, I'm not a big orange juice trader. I just keep track of this stuff because, you know, prices, everything's like getting crazy. And you know, we have coffee on here and pork and cows and sugar and corn and all these things. If you want to talk about it, we can. I mean, look at coffee right there. Rock and roll. Get nuts. Getting nuts right there. Wild. Wild levels. That high, that low. We're pushing on up. We could go up to $5. I think that's $5 a pound. $5.40 a pound for, yeah, I think this is priced in 100 pounds. Price per 100 pounds, I think is what that is. So, wild numbers. There's another, I think that's Arabica, maybe. Different size coffee. Get up there crazy. Yeah, 560. Forget that next extension. Now, it could be done here and break and retrace, but that looks like we're ripping on higher. So, coffee in stark contrast to the orange juice chart, but this will probably do like the orange juice chart all of a sudden and just, we're going to retrace to the roadmap line at some point. All right. Bitcoin looking pretty depressing. Might go for the roadmap line on the daily chart. Been pretty bummed out on this today. Although, we barely hold on to the bottom of that box I drew this morning. Kind of wild. Rallied back up. It was down here earlier, looking pretty bleak, and then now it's rallying back up. Gonna maintain the box. So crazy. So crazy. It's got about 30 minutes to turn that green before we set the new candle for the day. This has been a big, long, sideways chop fest on Bitcoin. I would have liked to just see that finish up, and then we can go, but nope, we're just going to keep grinding it. The meat grinder right there on Bitcoin. Ethereum, not much better. So, boring. All right. Channel members get priority on requests. Type in all capital letters, and I'll hit you first, and then I'll circle back around and catch up with other requests best I can. Use all capitals, one request per person per request. You got to wait for at least a couple other people to go before you go again. If you're just dominating the requests, I'll just start skipping you. So please be kind to your other people. If you got a question about a particular ticker, please ask it in full, complete sentences. Make it make sense to you and me and everybody else. If I have no idea what you mean, I'm probably not going to answer it. And crypto kind of sucks, so I'm not really interested in talking about crypto much today. Talked about it a lot on Monday, so I might skip crypto tickers. Tesla, first one I see, did the roadmap bounce. So now we've moved up the first move, and we're just kind of sitting here. Resistance, sit up here. Support, you know, it could come down for another test. So we did hit that level overnight back last week. We moved up and just kind of sitting here. So I want to see this get continuation higher, break through the 618 up here, and then go on up to 500 or 600. I don't know if it can do that without the market being less kind of boring here. I've removed these so many times. Wish this would stick and stay on the chart. Save, please. So that's what we got. We've got this retrace. It did the perfect level to bounce. Now we need the bounce. We've got the high, we've got the low. You can put it on the actual daily low, and then the 618 comes in right in here. That's the level we got to get through. Rally up and rally on, baby. There's your 518, 545, 627 next upside levels right up there. If we can get above here. If not, could lead to a bigger down. And CLF. Resistance at the roadmap line. Apple has potential. We closed above on yesterday? No, Friday. Yesterday was closed. Yeah, Friday. I was like, wait. Market went open yesterday. Friday. Closed above. Confirmation. Target is up there. 266. Right there. I am long AAPU. Looking for that move. Right there. AAPU. So AAPL. How do you do this? How do you figure out the move on AAPU? You go like this. You go from here to the target. 8.75%. 8.8%. Go AAPU. Multiply by 2. Be 16%. Change. 16.5%. So you go right up in here, and there's your level, right around 40, 41, somewhere in there. That's the target. Something like that. Maybe like, well, I thought, this might go to the extension. Yeah, this is leverage. It's already underperforming the actual Apple chart. So another classic example of that. Check out NVIDIA here. Right, we made this high back here. We made this low that hit the roadmap line. We went and did the expansion back here. From that high to that low. Hit the 1.1448 right there. Go look at the MVDL. Look, we didn't make that higher high. We didn't get to that 1.448. See that right there? We stalled out. Doesn't mean it didn't have 2 times the performance, but it didn't get the expansion. So you got to be careful. All right. And BRKB. Potential 449. Nothing really changed there. And I just skipped the chat. Love it when that happens. PayPal. I talked a lot about crypto yesterday, so if you're interested in crypto, go watch yesterday's video. Not really hyped up on talking about crypto right now. Really, this got me not very happy about it. So PayPal busted through the roadmap line, back testing from the bottom. That can lead to further downside. So very cautious here on that level. Now, if we can bust up through, there's the high, there's the low. If we get through this 618 level, right in here where the gap down is, funny enough, can't make up this stuff. Gap down just sitting right at the 618. We break up through that and get this expansion up to the bottom of this. Oval right in there, 96.99 area right there for PayPal. And RX. Just in a big sideways. I don't see the opportunity here. I mean, if it gets up there to 15, I mean, that's like 50% gain, but are you going to sell at the top? Or are you going to hope that it breaks out and then ride it and then it drops back down again and you're like, oh, shoot. I mean, it's done this move. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be a 4th move. What makes you think it's going to do anything except keep ping-ponging? So be careful. Square, XYZ, block, whatever you want to call it these days. Retrace into the roadmap line would be what I would expect. And if it breaks down, we could go lower. So we did hit the upside target there. Retrace popped up, hit the 1272. Back to the roadmap line would be what I would expect on that one. So somewhere in this zone, if not a little lower. Could come down in here. Maybe. Yeah, somewhere down in there, maybe if the roadmap line doesn't hold. And moving on, Amazon. Watch out for the drop back to the roadmap line. It's looking a little cooked. That was the upside target. I'm kind of warned. That's been a long time upside target. We kind of pegged it right in the dead center. Wouldn't surprise me to get back to the roadmap line. And if that doesn't hold, we could go for the 618 to retrace down here. A lot of people are super bullish on on Amazon. Can't even remember what the ticker I've got up. A lot of people are super bullish on Amazon. I've just seen it. Like, this is the time of the year when Amazon usually climbs. Go check your facts. Like, usually first quarter, Amazon takes a dip. So I'm not so sure that we're done dipping yet. Look at that right there. We rallied up into February and big dip. Sometime out in mid-March might be when we, and that lines up with the Nasdaq, like the seasonality for Nasdaq. So we may see this take a spill into mid-March. Could see this drop on down and over here before we find support, or it could take a more yikes kind of move. So definitely be careful there. BA. And this is probably going to keep grinding. Like, the path is, how's it going to get there? It's going to go like this. It's going to be like this. It's going to go. Probably going to do that for the next however many years until we get up to like 600. Could make some bigger swings. You know, we had plenty of those along the way. So that's BA for you. SYM. Sitting here under the roadmap line. That's resistance. Downtrend highs. All the nasty stuff to get a bigger spill. So be careful. It's been established on this downtrend highs for a couple years now. May be able to break through, but it's got that 30s, 35, 36 resistance right in there. We're going to have to get through to go higher. You know, sure, that could be the setup of a measured bounce. I don't know. Till we start proving it. You know, we are below the roadmap line, so that puts downward pressure. You draw a little uptrend of lows here. If we break down below that, it can lead to a bigger downside. So be careful on that one. SYM. I'm just not a big fan of nasty patterns like that. It's kind of a watermelon seed squeeze. So upstarts and potential to get on up to the next level up there. ZM. Oops, skipped AMD. And there you go. ZM. Roadmap line. So that's it. Oh, I see SMR. Skip that one. SMR. Rolled the chat. Skipped it. Sorry about that. So SMR, potential downside right there. First move down. Retrace. Next move down. Right there. There you go. And I think I caught up to all the channel members. Right there. Circle back around and hit non-channel members. Keep hanging with me. If we drop below about 60 people on the stream, I'll probably knock it off. I'm exhausted. I'm physically tired right now after being live for about 5 hours today so far. Takes a lot out of me to do shows. And BCE, where's the bottom? No idea. Further down, probably. TXN, and potential that this found a bottom in this prior low area. Still under the roadmap line, still downward pressure, still lower highs, still. It's a lot of negatives. First move down, retrace, and we didn't hit a ideal support zone, so we might have further downside to go. Getting below here would be the cautionary point, and resistance on the upside is coming down right there. Could turn down. I would be very careful here. It's very cautious point on Texas Instruments. It could be done. It could be reversing. We're going to break through the roadmap line, break through this high. So there's the 2 points. We got to that roadmap line, that prior high. If we get through that stuff, could go on up. It is possible. That 618 level doesn't look like it's quite in the right place. Looks like it'd be a better spot if it was down, if the low was here. See how that just lines up better? That may be indicative that we're not quite done to the downside yet. So careful on that one. Alrighty. I don't think any blockchain's going up right now. I think that I can pretty much say universally crypto looks like it sucks. I can pretty much sum it up by just by looking at this chart right here. If we break below this right here, we're probably doing a bigger liquidation event in crypto. Somewhere in those areas. Doesn't matter what your crypto is, probably going to go with the total market cap of crypto. Sitting right on support, barely hanging on. If this starts liquidating, watch out. And if you're not in the top 10, this is outside of the top 10. This looks particularly bad. So I'm not really hyped up on talking about crypto right now. That made a lower high and has the setup for a bigger flush. That low, that high. Potential for a big flush out in crypto. Right like that. $100 billion. Oof. Outside the top 10. So, including the top 10, looks like we can still do a larger retrace. That pretty much sums it up right there. We're up here. We might need a 30% correction. 30% correction. Take us down right around there. About $2.5 trillion. So another $500 billion coming off of crypto. Sorry, I'm not optimistic on that one this week. Just everything just kind of tipped the scale a little too far. MDLZ. Mondelez trying to buy Hershey's underneath the roadmap line. I mean, that's upside resistance. And if we bounce down, watch out below. BSGP sitting at the resistance. If we can't get through, probably going lower. Let's see if that makes any, yeah. So we've got this downtrend of highs cooking, putting downward pressure, and we may see a bigger retrace, but we've been holding on to that pretty well, these lows. So we may dip into that zone one more time, try to fully flesh it out, see if it's going to hold. If it doesn't hold, that might not be good. Could see a return to the 40 area down here. If it lets go right there. Yeah, see, COVID wasn't that bad. What happened here? It looks like we might be in for another one of those. FLNC. Oof. Watch out, that can go down to 4 pretty easily. ALD. Still hunting the bottom. I'm not convinced. We don't usually, so because it stopped here with a higher low, it might be done, but we're gonna have to break through the roadmap line resistance there. I mean, there's the off chance that that's done. Barely holding on to a higher low. Barely. If we reject that, it's probably definitely going down for that target that we missed. 3 waves doesn't make a trend. But if we turn down right where we are, we're probably just going to immediately go down there. And that could be the finishing move. So if we break back above 87, we're probably going to hit the roadmap line, and then we'll see what happens on ALD. Verizon. Talk about one that this could be finished on the correction here. Resistance sitting right there at 42. Doesn't look like the proper place for that. So it may not be done on the downside. Usually when you get to the bottom of a correction, a lot of times you've got some sort of consolidation right at the 618 that wasn't there. I don't know that that looks right. You know, it makes me say, is it going to be done? If we break on through, odds are we're going on up here to 46. But it's not a very big, strong, healthy looking chart. If this were to bounce on down here and then turn, break above the roadmap line and get bullish, that would look a lot better to me for a bigger upside potential. But right now, just not so sure. I wouldn't get involved. That's just my personal choice. That doesn't mean you can't make money. Just my personal, I wouldn't mess with the chart. There's, I'd say 95, maybe 99% of the charts I look at, I wouldn't touch. My money. Mobileye. Well, so this moved up into the roadmap line, bounce down. That's resistance. If we break down, get through that 618, extension would be down here. It's upside down roadmap pattern. If we hold right here where we've already kind of held, break back above that high, the potential move could take us on up into this area right up in here. Possibly up to 48. 30 to 37 would be where I would bet on, but it's going to take a move up through that 22 area to do that. That's Mobileye for you. TLT. What a grind. What a grind. So far. I mean, we didn't break down here. We didn't break out here. It's just tightening up. Like, this may just keep doing that, like I was talking about on some other charts. We may just drift back up, drift back down, drift back up. We may just entered into a sideways channel here where we can't really do anything. Possibly we could rally to 100 from here. When you look down at the smaller time frames, it's already kind of set up the potential to get an expansion on higher. Maybe up into this 93 to 95 area. Next move could be up in here. Something like that. Hard to say exactly. It's a really messy price action. And it could just break down and go lower. We left the... This looks like a big correction, sideways correction with a lower low. Doesn't get through the roadmap line on the daily. Watch out for that to push on down to that lower target down there around 77. Not convinced. I mean, if I saw giant opportunity, I'd be in it. But right now, I'm not. Not feeling it on TLT, TLSI, medical specialty stuff, low price stuff. So there's like 4 things that commonly don't follow my patterns. Low price stuff on, stocks under $10. Doesn't count cryptos or futures, just stocks under $10. Medical specialty, biotech, pharma, anything the Food and Drug Administration in the United States gets involved in, doesn't always follow leverage stuff with 2x, 3x, 4x leverage, 1.5x, anything with leverage, like in case you weren't paying attention, stuff like 3x leverage right there. TQQQ, 3x leverage. Ultra means leverage when you look at a chart. So, TSLA, stuff like this, 2x leverage. Doesn't always follow patterns if you try to use the tools, the fib tools and stuff. And then the 4th thing is China stuff, like things like BABA, things like PDD, things like Luckin Coffee. They don't always follow the patterns. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So that's the 4 things that don't always follow the pattern. And then there's some other special outliers like SPACs, IPOs, real estate investment trusts, some other special cases that don't always follow the pattern. So low price stuff, be careful. I'm not sure. This kind of ticks 2 of the boxes, low priced and medical specialty. And this looks like it's working on being a dumpster fire. Looks like a SPAC also. So not fond of that chart. Joby is a choppy hot mess of sideways. Be very careful. Lower highs all the way across. Looks like that may break and go lower. That's also low price stuff and choppy. Very choppy. Doesn't mean you can't make money. It's just not, like, this is not trending. Where's the trend? I'm a trend pullback continuation trader. There's no real trend pullback continuation going on here. So that just hype and pops and chops and not very reliable price action. TTD, there's a trend. There's a pullback, and then that crushed down below the support. Ouch. How far could this go down? That's a problem, right? That's a problem. We're already at the levels where we would expect it to find support if it's going to. So if it doesn't hold right here and start turning higher, getting back through that gap, we might have a bigger downside problem on our hands for TTD. Next level down would be right down in these lows right there around the 618 level. So if we don't hold on to these lows from the last couple of years, we may come into this low. And if we don't hold that, we could come all the way down here. 32. Ouch. That'd be pretty rough, right? I mean, it started pretty rough going from 140 down to 80. You may be like, no freaking way it's going to do that. Just be careful. Just be careful. HPQ. This stock is just not done very well since they broke it apart from HPE. I don't feel like. That's retraced. Come up to the resistance of the roadmap line. If we can get through the 618, right here. We could see a rally on up to this target area up here around 41. Don't feel strongly about it either way. It's kind of a coin flip a little bit. Sell. And steel. Oh, is that the right one? No. You're looking for this one. Yeah, there's not enough candles to do anything with that. So 3 days on the market. I don't know. Might go higher, might not. NPCE. Potential bounce there. That high, that low. This is in the borderline low price stuff. Cautionary. 16, maybe upside if we can keep that baby going. Right there. It is medical specialty and kind of low price, so caution is advised if you're gonna mess with that one. AMD still looking for that 95 for me to feel better about the bottom. Still, my alert's down here. We're still in a downtrend. Still get another flush. Lots of buying going on, but I just don't see that turning around right now. So Netflix keeps on rocking. Golly, we already hit the 1050 target. Golly. So watch out. This may retrace before it can make the next run, but that 1700 area starting to become a reality for where we might go next. We could get a retrace. I mean, you see how we did this little blip right there and then shot up? Could do another blip and shoot up. A lot of clear air up in here that's going to be difficult to get through, but I don't see any reason why we can't go cruising on up. This, I mean, the numbers here are not crazy. Like, we're not even, this could easily double. Could double in share price and not really get that too crazy. Now, it would be out of its normal for the last couple of years, but wouldn't really be too crazy. Take it up to 800, you know, a double here would take it up to 880 billion, which is not even that crazy, so. Yeah, not bad. All right, LU. $128, upside targets, arm, chopping, lower highs, be careful, support at the roadmap line, resistance up here if we're going to break out. It does have lower highs, but we're going to have to break through some of these prior highs here to get to 210 on the upside. MTN broke lower. That might be all over, but they're crying. Last ditch to save it at 157 before we break on down. Go visit COVID lows, possibly down to 100. So this is like a gotta hold it level. If we don't, I would expect it to come on down here. It's wrecking the setup. It has such a beautiful setup, and it's wrecking it. Not looking good. ARCC. And might push on up to 24. STZ. If we can hold. I want to see this dip just a shade more. One more little pop dip and a big pop. Kick off this bigger. Now we can just kick it off from here, but we're just splitting hairballs right there. Splitting eyelashes. I would like to see a dip to 153-ish. 155 maybe. But that could be the bottom, and we could go shooting off 400, possibly 500, possibly 700. Oh, excuse me. 700 on the upside there. Indy Resistance, potential downside. T-Mobile just keeps it rocking. Where is the sky? How high? 37, 326, 386, 429. How high does this go? Partner with Starlink. I don't know. Got the beta test through June, and then we'll see what happens. Kind of crazy. Ain't it? Back to the downside. I think I already hit that one. ACHR. It's got this little pullback here. Potential to go up to 13. But it's got a lower high also. And it may do a deeper retrace back to the roadmap line. Not very clear at this point. Like that's... So far, that's a proportional three-wave up into resistance. If I were going to bet on it, I would bet on a third move right here. Not always right. Get plenty wrong. I don't feel strongly about that, but if I was going to bet on it, that retrace would be what I would expect. SMCI got up to the danger zone. I was warning about this for a couple of days that if we popped up in this zone right here, it could result in a big down. Be careful if we can push on through. Got all these gaps we did over here, so it's definitely a resistance zone in here. I don't necessarily think we're going back up here, but we could. It's possible. We have that big 618 level coming up right there at 57. So if that was the first move down, this is the 1, 2, 3 wave retrace right into the 618. Could get an extension lower. Just be careful, please. It's your money. Here's the 3 wave I was talking about. That move. Could get a little extra spicy on up to 73. So there's kind of a resistance zone right there. First move down, retrace. Even if we went extra spicy, see where it puts us right here for continuation. Right back down there. So I would watch at the roadmap line. If we break back below that, probably going down here. Now on the flip side, if we were to retrace and turn higher, break back above that, sets up the potential to come up here. Back to crazy levels for SMCI. There's rumors that something's coming up on the 25th. I don't know. I don't know what. Something's coming up on the 25th. I don't know if it's a bond or whatever, but we'll see. FLG. A little bit of resistance right there where we chopped around. We're coming up into it. There's a large gap down right there. It's going to be resistance going higher. So if we get through that, we may come up into this zone. Might be one of those situations where we see it go do that before we can, that roadmap line, and then break out and go higher. It does have a reverse split. That makes it a dumpster fire. Be careful. Piece of garbage company. Horrible at managing their share price. That's what that means. When you have to reverse split, you're bad at managing share price. And there's no reason to think that that company will ever perform. Celsius Holdings continues to be crap. The line in the sand is still down here at 20. As long as we're above it, we still have the potential to rally up to the roadmap line. If we get below 20, game over. Just like some of the other stocks. Intel, TSM, boy, that TSM announcement that they may help split up the company. Got the gap fill. Haven't filled it yet, but if we get above it, this thing could resurrect. I don't know. Seems pretty bad so far. I mean, good potential reversal, bottom in place, but you know, we held right at the top of that target. If we get below it, watch out for the next bubble down. So far, that's not a reversal of trend. That's not anything. We're gonna have to get above this price action. And then above that to really set the stage for going higher. I don't know if it can do it. That's a pretty devastating looking chart right there. And when you zoom out and look at it, it's not done jack squat for 25 years. Just chopped in a $60 range for 25 years. And that makes me feel like it's not going anywhere at all. Hasbro, be careful getting sucked into stories in the market. You can lose your money. Hasbro is a downtrend currently. Popped up, hitting resistance. Watch for the next leg down. FLDD. Wow. Nasty. No. Has that large gap down over here that we're pushing into. If it rejects, I want to see it hold the roadmap line down here. ASTS. Held the roadmap line. Breaking above. 42 upside targets. DT. Dynatrace. Breaking back up. Targets up here. 85.95 area. Right up in there. Got concerned about it. We did hold the measure bounce. Sets up the target right up here. It's kind of like a double whammy too, because that measure bounce puts it, puts the potential to outperform even up to 126 on DT. So could be a double on shares. Not bad. UH. Bank of Hawaii, just kind of chopping. Potential for this to have made a bounce. If we can get above that 76 area, could have go up to 85. TTE. Total energies sitting at this resistance. Wow, that played out. And then this is why I'm always concerned about when I give these upside targets. I'm like, that's a potential point where we might turn down. You can see what happened there. Big downside. Holding. This held up really well with these prior lows. That's indicative that we're done on this correction. Could go up to 74 to 77, possibly 86 on TTE, CMG. I got kind of a downward bias on here. There's the target. Right down there. That's where I think we're going. We could not break back above and do this. Couldn't do it. So this looks like where we're heading. Right down in there, 45 area. FUTUs shooting for that upper target at 711, I think it was. No, 144. What is it? What's the other one similar? There's a similar FUTU. Can't remember what the ticker. That's set up for 144. Can't remember what the other. It was on the morning list. What am I thinking of? FNGU. That's it. 711. FUTU. 144. GSM. Going down in a blaze of glory. Low price stuff. Can't go to zero. I don't know. MAT, Mattel. Potential. That's very choppy. Let's say we're in a range. We're kind of stuck here. So $10, $10+ range. We're just kind of stuck. I don't see large potential to get out of that for now. See, that's lower highs, so that's a downward trend. Trend is down, pull back, continuation. Be careful. Chasing Mattel. GitLab. I think that's what that is. Just been chopping around. Potential to go up. Measured bounce. If we get the breakout above 85, probably going on up to like 135. MSTR. It's probably going down for the daily roadmap line. It depends on what Bitcoin does. I'm not convinced. This doesn't just pop down here. It's got such a beautiful setup to do it. Then we can bounce and go. Could even come down here. That would be a first move down and parity with the second move down. Right there. 226. Nothing really changed on that one. Not super optimistic on crypto right now, if you can't tell. And NTRA. We've got less than 60 people on the stream, so I'm going to punch through a few more, and then I'll wrap it up. Watch for that to come back to the roadmap line. UGL. Coming back to the roadmap line. CMC. We're at the resistance. It's been a bunch of chop. That hasn't really gone anywhere for a couple of years. Sitting in the middle of the range. See what I'm talking about, right? Like roll back. Not gone anywhere for a couple of years. Little retrace, little extension, another retrace. Not really trending. Potential for this to be a measured bounce, but we're gonna have to see some commitment. The breaking out and going higher. Right now, below the roadmap line is not commitment to going higher. We're gonna have to get above that 618 zone. So the resistance right there. If we get above that, great. We could go up here 70s, but right now, looks like we might reject and go lower. Yeah, be careful. TQQQ has the setup to go higher. 95 is the targets. 97, I guess. 95, 97, right up in there. That's the target. TQQQ. Intel already did. ALY has just been chopping for a while. Almost a year. Look at that. Just chopping. Not really committing to going higher. Rejected off of that. Right there. This big pullback. Popped up. Rejected once. Tried again. Rejected stronger. If we can get through those highs, we could go on up here. That was cool. If we reject it, watch out for a lower low. Then this low right there. Somewhere around 30 maybe. Not convinced. So why I say I'm not convinced. See this move up right here. We made a high. Right here. Then we made a pullback. Then we made a new high. That was higher. And then we did another pullback. And it overlapped. So when we get price action that does this, and then this, and this, even if it pulls back kind of deep, as long as this level and this level have some sort of airspace between them, they don't overlap, that's still bullish. When we get overlap, like we have right here, not bullish. That's in the realm of nasty price action. And that can lead to further corrective action. But when I look at them and I'm seeing all this price action where these highs are overlapping when you skip a set, that's not conducive for going out. That's just not good price action. When I see it, I just skip it. I just move on. It's not the kind of stuff I want to look at. Not the stuff I want to put my money at risk on. I don't know why I put AMRX. And it's sitting on the roadmap line. Might go higher, might not. It doesn't have any. Just sitting there. Resistance is that prior high. $9 upside and downside. Gosh. Could be down here at $6, $7, something like that. Nike, still working on the downside. Potential. Oh, man. If we can break above, that could finally be done. Jeez. I've been looking for that dip forever. Maybe. It's going to have to start proving it, though. So we've got all these resistance zones, like this giant zone, this giant zone, this giant zone. You see we left gaps. Giant gaps. These are all gaps that we're got to fill to be able to break out over this high to go higher. You look at that and you're like, well, it's only $60. It's only like, it's only like 80% upside from where we are. Yeah, I know. But it could also reject at any of those and take a spill back down to a lower low. Could pop all the way up here and still go like that. If you got in up here, that'd be ripping you for 30% loss. I'm just not sold on that being the bottom yet, even though that's that was an ideal spot to turn. I don't know, can't convince myself to buy that yet. AG, AXGen, Axogen, medical specialty. Yeah, we're getting into the target zone, maybe up to 34 on that one. And Estee Lauder is at the bottom. I saw somebody talking about this, how great a buy this is, but you know how great a buy it is at 72 if it drops to 39? Not a great buy here if we drop on down. So there's my ideal support zone right here. May have great brands and great this and great that. That still doesn't look like that 618's in the right spot until we get down here. See that 618? How it lines up with that. It doesn't line up with that until we're down there. Right now, it's just kind of floating out in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't really make good sense to be where it is. If it was down here, that makes a better spot to be sitting, because then it lines up with this over here. Think about it. There's no way this 6-way could be here until we made that high up here, way higher than that, and then we would make this low way down here, and then it locks that 618 in where it would make sense, where it's right there with that price action, right here with this price action. Then it provides resistance. We may turn down, break through, and go on higher. It's kind of crazy that might be telling us that that's where Estee Lauder is going to go and bounce right down there around 40. Let me know in the chat if you found that interesting. It's just what it looks like to me. And Lake. I'm getting tired. All right. Sit on the roadmap line. Potential to bounce. 28 on the upside. EQT. Potential 56 on the upside. Land. Resistance here. And I don't know about a downside. That's might go back to 10 on the downside. That's a downtrend. Be careful. Lily has resistance at the 618 there. Kind of hanging right there. Could pop on up. If we gap fill it, get above the gap fill, 1,000 is the upside on Lily. Okay, NSL. Sideways chop. Be careful. Be like water. Dow. Back to the roadmap line. MGM. Downtrend. Ooh, it did scrape the target. Still a downtrend. Big resistance zone right in there. If we get above that, oops, remove the wrong thing. Yeah, that target doesn't matter anymore. That target does matter. So there's the resistance zone. We get above it. Probably cruise it on up here. MGM. Yeah, that was nice. We held the right spot to do it. Oh, excuse me. Golly, sorry. That one got away from me. DDOG. Back testing. Look at that beautiful back test. Holy guacamole. If we hold that, nice big fat upside potential to go rallying up to this area 184 up here. Really want to see that. And the tail, look at that. That 618 is in the perfect spot right there. That might be done. You could buy there, put your stop right down around 120. If it breaks on down, forget it. That's a $10 risk for a potential $50 upside. Maybe $60 upside. Not too bad. That's a pretty good one on shares. I'm not sure if it'd go for options because this could take a little while. And next rip could. The next one could take a little while. So, all right. Target TGT. Bounced off the roadmap line. Holding supports, but you might need to drop on down here. Back to the lows. For that 618 to be in the right spot. It is holding a higher low. But that looks like it wants to come all the way back down to the lows. Looks like it wants to double bottom to me. Wouldn't surprise me. RLI. Ugh. And that bounced off the roadmap line. Watch for a lower low. That'll be just my primary expectation without diving in. X. Choppy sideways. Nasty. No trend. Trend is sideways to down. That's what I would expect. Or a flush down here. AVGO. Potential for this to have completed the correction here. Although it's kind of arcing off. It may go down for the roadmap line at a slightly lower low. And in here. If we're going to break on back down. Below that level right there. That's AVGO for you. International paper. Missed the roadmap line. That's probably a 4-hour bounce. doesn't make it any less likely to work out. Well, it kind of does, but 61.50 lower at the time frame, the more often they fail. That could go up to there. Still looking for it to hit the daily roadmap line. And MRX. And not enough price action to do much with. It's a trend. There's no pullback. Keep trending, I guess. Good luck. GCT. That's the trend is down. Pull back to the resistance. I would expect it to continue down. We did snow. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Welcome, you're welcome. And HD. Watch for a breakdown below support and continuation right there. It turned down at a key level. I would expect it to come down here. Right there. If we can break back, if you get above 426, possibly up to 450, but that's a big if at this point. Looks like continuation is lower. Alrighty. Caught up, 50 people left. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for coming. We'll be back live first thing in the morning, 9:15. We'll go through the market, check in for movers, poppers, and droppers, and see what we can find. Remember, FOMC is tomorrow. So, FOMC minutes, that is, might bring some volatility. Otherwise, I'm getting sick of this drab blah in the market. I'm not fond of it. Just this drift. It's like we're set adrift and we're not really doing anything. We haven't, we came up pretty aggressively to this high in December and then nothing. Nothing. It just makes it very difficult to trade right now. So please be careful. It's your money. Thanks for coming. We'll see you again in the morning.